Now a brief look at the news that did not maybe surprise politicos. Rob Simmons getting back in the race publicly. Well, kind of. The former congressman is running TV ads reminding voters of where he stands on the issues and that he's still on the primary ballot in a race against Linda McMahon and Peter Schiff for U.S. Senate. The winner will face Richard Blumenthal. After losing the GOP endorsement to Linda McMahon in May, Simmons said he was scaling back his campaign and releasing staffers to pursue other jobs. We asked Simmons about his on-again, off-again campaigning. We could start off with just telling me why run the ad.
Well, I think the ad is important because I think elections are important, and elections are important because choices are important. I have been running for the U.S. Senate, actually, for about 16 months. I sought my party's nomination at the convention, fell short, was disappointed by that, and decided to curtail the campaign to give the other candidates maximum opportunity to do their thing. In the intervening weeks, months actually, there's been very little activity, except that my supporters have been calling me and talking to me about, what are you going to do, what are you going to do? Well, my name's on the ballot. I mean, when I have Ann Coulter on one side of the political spectrum and Lowell Weicker on the other side of the political spectrum saying, you need to, get more involved, I listen to that. And the purpose of this ad is to point out to my constituents, my supporters, my friends and neighbors here in Connecticut that, yes, my name is on the ballot August 10th.
What do you make of all of the chatter from your supporters who consistently, particularly on online blogs, have said, he's on the ballot, and I'm sure, and they are confident that there will be a groundswell and that you'll pull this off?
Well, I'm very excited by that. I think it's great to know that you have support out there, and I really appreciate that support. I've had it in the past. I've always felt that, politics is about people. It's about personal relationships, about serving people. It's about public service. And it's not about, how many ads do you buy. It's really about how many people do you touch with your message and what you try to do with your life of public service, which I think is terribly important, especially now. So I'm excited by that support.
And what do you have to say as far as the Democrats who say he can call it whatever he wants, he can call it a public service announcement, he can call it whatever, but I mean it's essentially campaigning?
Well, I agree with the Democrats that I can call it whatever I want, and I'm calling it a public service announcement. Look, I devoted my whole life to public service. I served in the U.S. military, served in the CIA. I actually served in the Senate as a senior staffer to Barry Goldwater. I've been in the Congress. I've devoted my life to public service. So at a time when we are approaching a critical primary, for me to say it's a public service announcement kind of feels good to me, and that's why I do it.
It would be a heck of a turnaround, though, right? Wouldn't it?
Well, I come from Mystic, Connecticut, and Mystic is the land of miracles. So we'll see what happens.
Well, that is just one development in one race that we have to talk about this morning with the chairman of the Connecticut GOP, Chris Healy. Chris, thanks for being here.
You're welcome.
So tell me, what do you make of Rob Simmons' foray back into this whole race?
I really don't know what to make of it. It's a unique approach to campaigning. I've known Rob a long time. I've been his campaign manager in 2006. No one has served his country with more distinction than he has. And I just go by what he says, which initially was that he wasn't going to pursue a primary. Then obviously he said he would, and then he said he would scale back his campaign. Today announces he's going to be running some ads, which he calls public service ads, which when we were kids were something completely different than what I think is going on now. That was pretty much having to do with washing your hands.
Yes.
But I think the issue here, elections are about, it's a transaction of trust. You make your point. You roll out your positions, you look at the voters in your eye, and you ask for the vote. If you don't ask for the vote, then there's really no election. And elections are about counting votes and then governing from the winner and the loser. It's tough to lose. My whole opinion is if he's entitled to whatever he wants. It's his money, it's his name on the ballot, it's his credibility. So we'll see what happens. So we have Peter Schiff and Linda McMahon running, and whoever wins that primary is going to beat Dick Blumenthal. That's all I do know.
He didn't consult with you before he...
No, and he's under no obligation to do so. He's earned his spurs and his stripes and his stars more than anybody. And again, the focus of the Republican Party and the candidates that we have running, as you just heard from Mark Sedanowitz, is to turn the country around quickly. We are going down the drain here with our economy. $12 trillion in debt, 10% unemployment, all a result of bad policies by the entire Democratic congressional delegation. We drove Chris Dodd out of office because he knew he couldn't face the voters. Now we've got his subordinate, Dick Blumenthal, a 20-year career politician. So whoever we nominate in the Senate or the governor's races or all the others, including all the primaries that we have running for Congress, we're going to have a very new look here in Washington, and that's good for our economy and for Connecticut.
Why are you so confident in that race, though, with Linda McMahon and Peter Schiff?
Well, because Dick Blumenthal...
realistically, right, the last poll, she was 17 points behind?
Well, that's the Quinnipiac poll. We're in July. All I know is Dick Blumenthal's numbers keep coming down. They don't go up. They keep coming down. He's now at 53% approval. That when you get under 50%, that's not good because he's really an incumbent. He's been there 20 years. He's been torturing us with lawsuits and making Connecticut the most unfriendly business place to be in the country. So that record's coming on. Dick Blumenthal's hiding. He's hiding in his office. He's issuing press releases about lobsters and video games and all this other nonsense. This country needs a new approach. We know it. The people know it. They hear it every day. And they're not going to adopt the Dick Blumenthal big government model.
But, is Linda McMahon really doing that much more than him? I know she's sending out a lot of flyers. She's running a lot of ads. But she doesn't seem particularly out there.
I beg to differ. I've run into her. I see her going town halls, walking main streets. Peter Schiff is out there talking to voters. They're rallying, building the network of supporters. It's July. People don't see a lot of these things. Reporters don't necessarily cover them because they rarely can get out that much because the news production is much smaller. But every day, if you look at Linda's schedule, and what I've been seeing is that she's out there meeting people. She's meeting a lot more people than Dick Blumenthal is. He's sitting at 55 Elm Street looking out the window waiting for another press release to come down.
Yeah, but I don't think he needs to meet any more people.
Oh, he doesn't? You don't think he has to ask for a vote? Come on.
I'm just saying people know who he is.
But this, again, this is the problem. The media has given him a 20-year free ride, and every time we turn over a new piece of information about Dick Blumenthal, it doesn't add up. His lying about the war record, his frivolous lawsuits, his antagonistic record against business, these things are coming to light, and he doesn't have answers. And he's going to go to Washington and endorse all of the Obama administration proposals, which have led to the worst economic collapse since the Depression. That's Dick Blumenthal. And when people really get a look at him, talk to him, if he bothers to talk to them, they're going to find out he's not worthy of being a senator. And whether it's Linda McMahon or Peter Schiff or Rob Simmons, we're going to beat him.
Okay. Well, that's obviously a big race here in Connecticut. Other big races, though. Let's talk about what should we be making of this legal battle between Tom Foley and Michael Fedeli?
Well, as far as I can see, it's over.
Yeah.
I think Tom Foley felt that Lieutenant Governor Fedeli had not met the requirements. Judge ruled for Mike Fedeli, good for him. He's got his money. We have a pretty viable three-way race for governor. This has always created a lot of excitement in the Republican ranks and in general. You had Susan Beisowitz on talking about the unaffiliated vote. We're getting those unaffiliated changeovers. They want to vote in our primary because they realize the Republicans have the answers and have the leadership. So we're cultivating new voters every day. And in all the other congressional races, one of which you just talked about between Ann Brickley and Mark Sedanowitz, this is the first congressional district we're talking about, right?
Yes, it is.
Two people, one a business person, one an engineer, both successful, both have good, strong operations. That's in the first district, which is always seen as sort of a layup for the Democrats. John Larson, he's an architect of this disaster. He's one of Nancy Pelosi's pet poodles here. We're going to take him on. We're going to take on all four of them in the other districts, and we're going to be very competitive.
Yeah, let's talk about,
Sure.
The other races. What other races are going to surprise us? Because the people who are challenging Congressman Chris Murphy and Joe Courtney and Jim Hyde, they're not going away. They're coming. We're hearing more and more about them.
Right. We have a vibrant party with lots of competition, and that's what this country's built on, competition and risk-taking. In the 5th, we have a three-way congressional primary between Sam Killigary, Mark Greenberg, and Justin Bernier. All three of them are excellent candidates. All three of them can beat Chris Murphy. Another guy who's sort of disappeared. We haven't seen much of him either. Jim Hymes down in Greenwich has voted for some of the most disastrous tax and spending policies that have destroyed wealth and capital down in the Gold Coast. Dan DiBasella is the leading candidate. We have two other candidates as well running there, Rob Merkel and Rick Torres. Two excellent candidates. Whoever wins there, I think that's one of our better opportunities. Jerry Labriola Jr. running against Rosa DeLauro. He's raised more money than Rosa DeLauro if you look at the latest statement. So that's a sign. Rosa DeLauro has been there 20 years. a member of Democratic leadership in Washington. And finally, Joe Courtney. We have 3 people running in the 2nd district, as you know. Janet Beckenpaugh, Darian Novak, and Doug Dubinsky. I got them all in there. But the point is, all of this activity at the grassroots level is getting more people interested in knowing they have a choice. We can continue to go down this big government road where our wealth and our capital is destroyed each and every day, where our personal safety is put at risk by terrorists, or we can go in a Republican way. Now, having said all of that, we learned our lesson from '06. We took our eye off the ball in Congress, and all the people that are running now have no connection to that era of failed leadership that we did, which we paid for at the polls. But in 16 months, the Democrats have made a complete hash of our country, and we're going to do something about it.
Okay, I only have a few seconds, but, what Gibbs said, I mean, is there really going to be that kind of turnaround here in Connecticut?
Well, we have a long way to go. We have to make our case as Republicans. This isn't just about punishing Democrats, but I urge all voters to punish Democrats. But there's a lot going at stake here, and I urge every voter to look at the record of the Democrats over the last 16 months, look at their pocketbooks, look at their future, think about how things are now and where they're going to be in maybe a year, 2 years, or 3 years, and trust at least a Republican message of opportunity and responsibility. I guarantee you things will get better.
All right. Well, people have a choice. Thanks a lot, Chris. Thanks for being
here.
Don't forget, if you missed something here on The Real Story, you can now watch it online by going to fox61.com. You can also catch us on YouTube. Thanks for watching this week's edition of The Real Story. We'll see you here again next week.